Sarah Henderson, thanks for your time. Where are we going wrong? And are there any green shoots in these NAPLAN numbers that you can see?
Well, not really. In fact, the numbers released today are disastrous. 1 in 3 Australian children are basically failing NAPLAN. And we are going wrong because we desperately need evidence-based teaching reforms in every Australian classroom. Where they have been introduced in some schools and school systems, we've seen a huge rise in school standards. But frankly, Kieran, every Australian child needs the best evidence-based teaching.
And that goes to those foundational skills, phonetics and things like that, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've got to get back to basics. So really sharp focus on literacy, on numeracy, and, through explicit teaching, through the teaching of phonics. Some of those are in the unsigned agreement that the Minister has released, but of course he's at war with 5 states in the ACT over funding, rather than focusing on driving those reforms that we know work, and in fact some states and territories have started to transition to.
It's a lot more than just dollars, though, isn't it? We're talking, because I know there's the fight with the states, absolutely, but when we're talking about dollars in education funding, it makes a difference up until a point, but beyond that, actually more dollars don't change what's happening on the ground. That's the reality.
Well, under our government, we doubled schools funding. So the big challenge at the moment is, frankly, not funding, because we've seen a really significant decline. We did a lot when we were in government in terms of addressing teacher training, driving those evidence-based reforms into the curriculum. But frankly, we are seeing that some schools and school systems are adopting evidence-based teaching within the current funding envelope. And that's why I'm so critical of the government, because they could have done this 2 years ago. They could have absolutely grabbed the bull by the horns, driven those national reforms in every Australian classroom, but instead they have tied these reforms to a school funding agreement, and now there's a war, and it's chaos.
What about these things? What about screens?
I think...
What effect are they having in terms of how well kids are reading and writing and that sort of thing?
Terrible. And we did a very important Senate inquiry into classroom disruption, which shows that devices in the classroom are shocking. And it's one of the deficiencies of the unsigned agreement, that we haven't seen any focus on what needs to happen with classroom behaviour. We've suggested, in fact, a national behaviour curriculum. So children are actually taught how to behave. But frankly, these things have to go. And that, to be fair...
Homes have got a big part to play.
Oh,
right?
Look, I mean, I'm a mum, so many parents are just pulling their hair out with these devices. When my son was in grade 4, we all had to go out and buy the $1,000 obligatory iPad, when half the children couldn't even read or write properly.
That's right.
So
they're busy doing this sort of thing instead of this sort of thing.
They need tech skills as well. So as a solution, you have certain classes where they are digging right into that and using an iPad and whatever else, and others where they're not used at all. Because you can't pretend, they're not going to be writing on, with chalk all through school, let's keep it old school, and then just flip to tech in university, are they? You need a mix.
Tom, in primary school, you need to focus on the foundations of literacy and numeracy, and that is not happening as it should. As I say, some schools and school systems are doing a great job. For instance, the Catholic school system here in Canberra has revolutionised the way it teaches. It's introduced those evidence-based teaching reforms, and it is seeing NAPLAN results go up quite substantially. But we need to see this happen in every school, in every classroom. And while disadvantage is, of course, an issue, your postcode should not determine your life outcomes. So we've seen schools in Western Sydney that have done amazing work in introducing evidence-based teaching reforms, and really the children are absolutely flying as a result.